1 error is when you reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative. Okay, remember what the null alternative hypothesis roughly are. A null hypothesis is like a no effect hypothesis, like nothing's going on here, there's nothing new. Alternative hypothesis means an effect is happening. Okay, so determine a type 1 error for the null hypothesis. So that means we're thinking about rejecting the null when the null should actually not be rejected. So type 1 error would be if Carmen, if we're saying Carmen will not receive a 95% on her statistics exam when she actually does receive 95% on her statistics exam. When the null is false, when you reject the null, but the null is actually true in reality. So Carmen concludes that she will not receive a 95% on her statistics exam. That represents rejecting the null, when in fact she will not. She will not receiving 95% is the alternative hypothesis. You should be rejecting the null hypothesis when in fact the null is actually true. So that one's out. That one's, not receiving 95% when in fact she will not. Okay, I guess that's fine wording, but that represents rejecting the null hypothesis and concluding the alternative is true. Type 1 error is rejecting the null hypothesis when the null is actually true. So that one, the last part needs to be changed, when in fact she will get a 95%. Carmen concludes she will not receive 95% of statistics when in fact she will. Okay, so this one represents a type 1 error because the first part of the sentence says not receiving 95%. That's rejecting the null hypothesis. When in fact she will. That means that's the second part of a type 1 error when we say that the null hypothesis is actually true. The third one, Carmen does not conclude that she will not receive a 95% on her statistics exam. So that's a double negative. That's like Carmen saying she will get a 95% on her statistics exam when in fact she will not. So that would be like concluding HO is true when in fact the alternative is true. It's not a type 1 error. Type 1 is rejecting the null when in fact the null is true. So Carmen does not conclude that she will not receive 95% statistics. Okay, so that's like Carmen saying she will get 95% on her statistics exam. That's like saying the double negatives always confuse me. Will not conclude that she will not receive a 90. So that's like Carmen saying she will get a 95% on her statistics exam. That's like saying HO is true when in fact HA is true. So that's concluding H. So this one represents, it sounds like a type 2 error. Concluding HO isn't true. No, this one up here is a type 2 error. This one is neither type 1 or type 2. Because the first part of the sentence, concluding that they'll get a 95% in the statistics exam, that's like saying HO is true when in fact she will get a 95% of the statistics exam. That's like saying HO is true and HO is true twice. So the one we just did up here is a type 2 error. This is saying that she will get a 95% in the statistics exam, saying HO is true when in fact she will not, when in fact HO is actually false and she should be going with the alternative. But for this one, it was a type 1 error. So the second option was right because that represents rejecting the null hypothesis, not getting a 95%, when in fact the null hypothesis is true.